Hi, Afai. This is our first science lesson after half term. You're going to be talking about materials. This is something that you have seen in year 4. Hopefully, you will remember some of these things that I'm going to be talking about. So, what is a material? How can we identify and classify a material? So first of all, the definition is quite tricky. I have written something on the PowerPoint for you. So we could say that a material is a substance or a mixture of a substance, so more substances together that constitutes, create an object. Somehow, materials can be classified according to the characteristics that they have. Probably you remember some of those, for example, how hard they are, or if they are malleable or elastic. So what we can actually do with them? Do they break easily, or do they bend, or they've got maybe conductibility? For example, when we obviously, well, you went with me, I know, but we talk about electricity. However, when we think about materials, somehow we always think of one particular category of materials. Which one? And yes, the answer is that we tend to always think about solids. But material is not just solids, that they can be defined as solid, gas, and liquid according to their physical state. Okay, so we should be able to remember what a solid is, what a liquid is, and what a gas is. So your first task is actually to fill in this template. You have it in your pack, but it's also attached to this tapestry observation or planned activity. I can't remember what we put it on. I think it's on planned activity. So on tapestry post, that's the thing, that's the word. So you will find that attached as well in case you've lost it. What I would like to do is to write what kind of state this particular material is, and maybe draw a little picture of what is that used for, and the particle arrangement. You should be able to remember what we used to do in class, Yeah, I'm not mad. If any of the parents are watching, they should be able to explain what I was doing. Okay, I don't want to give too much to you because obviously I want to make sure that you can remember by yourself, but that should be what you need to draw. Ideally you can use maybe little circles to represent the particles, okay? Now, the next activity is linked to gases, okay? Because we have learned in maths that obviously solids and liquid have a certain weight. Okay, let's not focus too much on the scientific side of it, thinking about mass and weight and all of that, but just the fact that they have a certain weight, obviously what we call it in our everyday life. What do we think about gas? Does it have a certain weight? Does it not? So there are experiments to actually test that. So I would like you to think about this. Would a balloon full of air, and I mean by air, I mean the one that we would inflate in the balloon. So either by blowing in it or using a pump, okay? Not the ones that you go to the shop and have it inflated, for example, big numbers and stuff like that. So air. And a balloon that hasn't been inflated, we're the same. How can we say, would one weigh more than the other? Is there any form of experiment, of any form of test that you could try and create yourself to find an answer to this question? So your second task, because obviously we had the other one before, so that's your first task, and that's your second task, is actually to come out with an idea of an experiment to test that. Okay, what you could use are these investigation sheets. They're also in your pack. I'm going to talk about that in a second. In that, I would like you to actually include the variables and explain, make sure that the variable are the correct one, and explain why you have chosen those variables. So they need to be categorized. I'm going to go into that in a second, details for that in a second. So you have to include the variables. I would like also for you to explain how you will make these tests fair. What do we mean for a test to be fair in science? And also, how many times, we always say there's advisable to repeat the test, okay? Again, we have run so many tests and experiments in school, so you should be able to remember what we do and how we actually write our conclusions in the end after we have tested that. Now, obviously, you do not need to run the test. If you want to do the test that you've planned, is absolutely fine. You can post your pictures on Tapestry, but please do not you know, bother your parents too much if they're super busy, because again, it's a bit of a difficult situation at home. I mean, in school, it's easy to maybe test things and run experiments, but at home is a bit different. So if your parents say, or your adults say that they can't, please don't worry. Okay, we are not expecting you to do the experiments. We are just expecting you to plan for the experiment. Okay. Now, the investigation sheets that you will find attached are either this, where the variable are somehow clarified, okay, and what is their role in the experiment, or you will find this one that doesn't have anything. If you have this one, you will also have a second one that has got less details. The second one would be for the next, or then one after the next lesson. So please use this as first investigation template, so you can get a bit more familiar with that after all this time, and then use the next one for the next activity that we will do in a few days, a few sessions. If instead you have this one, you have two of these without anything in it. Obviously, I believe that you'll be able to remember what these fields were about. If you don't remember, don't worry. You can always, come back and have a look at this sheet, at this PowerPoint presentation, and, remind you what you needed to include. It's not a problem, because again, we haven't done it in a while, so it's not, a bad thing if you can't remember. Knowledge and memory are two different things, so don't worry about that. Now, obviously you have your experiment, but I've also included here an experiment that's been done, obviously it wasn't me, to actually find out about this question. Unfortunately, we can't really put all the YouTube videos on our own videos. We risk that they get blocked. I know that happened in the past. I think it was PDL or something. So I thought I would just put, the link there. I'm going to try to remember to put the link also on Tapestry, so maybe it's easier for you to copy it. So please, but if you have a problem, just let us know. But please, otherwise, watch the video. And just after you've watched the video, please write a little conclusion about your predictions and what actually happened and why. Okay, obviously, your experiment would be different. I doubt that you got the same experiment, but if you do, fantastic. But obviously your prediction will be in general. So you will say, oh, I believe that the one with air is heavier, or the one with less air is heavier, or one of the two. I don't know, I'm not telling you what it should be. But so please write down in your book, was your prediction correct? What actually happened and why? So a little explanation about that. So to recap, you would have this little task to submit, so a picture of that. Then one of these where you actually write down what you think could be a good idea to test that. And the question of the test would be, what to do if a full balloon, inflated balloon, will be heavier than a balloon that hasn't been inflated. And then finally, you will watch the video. It's just 1 minute and something, and 20 seconds, I think, long. And write in your book, if your prediction was correct, what happened in the video and why, a little explanation. I hope it makes sense, and I hope you have fun watching the video. Again, if you want to, you can recreate the experiment that it's in the video. But again, please do not stress your parents, because I'm sure they've got plenty of things to do. We will try and make as many experiments as we can when we are all back in school. Well, have fun, you're fine. Bye.